You know, a lot of people out there are set in their ways about Red West. I don't know if you guys realize this, but when Red West and Elvis were in high school together, if it wasn't for Red West, Elvis would have had his ass pummeled more than once. Not because Elvis wasn't tough, not because Elvis couldn't hold his own one-on-one in a fair fight with anybody, but because Elvis was different. Elvis had long hair, Elvis had sideburns, Elvis dressed in his own style. And it was Red West, who was basically Elvis's bodyguard in high school, that saved his skin many times, not more than once. But that's not the reason why I'm a fan of Red West. You mentioned the book, because we're going to fast forward from 1953, 52, 53, all the way up to 1970, 77. We're going to fast forward. You know, Sonny West and Red West wrote a book about Elvis Presley. And they put a lot of stuff in that book that Elvis really didn't want people to know about. A lot of private stuff about his prescription drugs that he took, his lifestyle, a lot of things that he didn't want out in the public eye. So for that reason, and the fact that Elvis really didn't want it out there, people are really extremely pissed at Red West and Sonny West because they did that. But let me ask you a question. This doesn't go to you only, but you're mentioning it. You know, why would I like Red West or be friends with Red West or stick up for Red West if I'm a huge Elvis fan like I am? You know, and I'm close to Elvis as far as everything I say. You know, why would I stick up for Red West? I know what people think, you know, when I say that. You only know what you've been told. And what you know is Red West wrote this book that pissed Elvis off, so therefore Red West is a bad guy. But as I said, let me ask you this question. In 1977, August 16th, what happened to Elvis? He died. Okay, Red West, Charlie Hodge, Joe Esposito, the rest of the Memphis Mafia, J.D. Sumner, the Stamps, all the people around Elvis. I'm not saying didn't try at times to say Elvis, you know, this or Elvis that, but you guys got to understand, Elvis wasn't really extremely accessible, so to speak. It's not like if you were hanging out at Graceland, Elvis was sitting in the front room on the couch. I don't know if you guys realize this, but Elvis 1960s Elvis and early 70s Elvis was way different than the late 70s Elvis before he passed away. The 1976 Elvis, you want to know why the reason RCA sent the recording studio to Graceland? It wasn't because Elvis was sitting downstairs all the time and was going to jump in the nearest, you know, chauffeured limousine and go up to the recording studio. The reason RCA sent the studio to Elvis is they figured if he wasn't going to come out of his house to record, they were going to send the recording studio to him. Elvis didn't leave much. Elvis pretty much kept himself up in his room near the end. Okay? If you wanted to talk to Elvis, you would have had to go up to his room, and not many people were welcome to go up to his room. Especially in the time period that Red West and Sonny West were trying to get through to Elvis. Now, the example of a true friend is a person who's willing to say to you to your face what it is you don't want to hear. If you're a drug addict, and I'm not saying Elvis was, or if you're, you know, you got some addiction, whatever that addiction is. Addiction, some people are addicted to porn, some people are addicted to sex, some people are addicted to alcohol, some people are addicted to drugs. There's all kinds of addictions. There's only one way to get through to those people. And you got to be honest with them, you got to be truthful with them, and you got to be right to their face. And the only way you can talk to a person like Elvis, who would not talk to you, because God forbid, if you said anything to Elvis he didn't want to hear, you were gone. He was not going to stick around and listen to you. Now, Red West, Sonny West, Joe Esposito, Charlie Hodge, they were on a little different plane. They could say a little bit to Elvis and get away with it. But you didn't want to cross Elvis at that time period in his life. Trust me when I tell you, Elvis did not want to hear what you had to say about it because it was a prescription medication. It was not illegal. It was prescribed by Dr. Nick, so therefore it was okay. The only problem was Elvis was actually prescribing his own medication to Dr. Nick. He was telling Dr. Nick what to prescribe to him. Now, they realized that Elvis was getting what he wanted, when he wanted, and how he wanted it. Okay, so Dr. Nick and a few of the other people were actually putting placebos in his prescription packets that he was taking each day. They would not actually give him all the pills that he thought he was getting. They would actually give him placebos sometimes just to appease him. Okay, so for Sonny West or Red West or Charlie or Joe to go to Elvis and say, I think you have a problem, Elvis. First of all, let's be honest. They were afraid to lose their job, first and foremost. They were afraid to lose their job. Most of the friends around Elvis, half of the people around Elvis, were just hanger-ons and people that were there to get something from Elvis. We know that. But half of them, the other half, were actually friends of his that cared about him, but they didn't want to take a chance and be honest to him, and they were afraid that he would do something to them, like fire them. They lose their livelihood, have nowhere, no way to make the money they're making. Elvis paid well at the time. It was a good gig. You knew you had a job. Who's gonna screw that up? Nobody with half a brain would screw that up. So the bottom line is, here's what Sonny West and Red West did. They wrote that book you were talking about. And in that book, they said a lot of things that Elvis didn't want to hear, as I said earlier, about his prescription medication addictions and his, lifestyle that they thought was bringing Elvis to the point where he was working too hard, he was wearing himself out, and it was going to end in a bad way. Now let me ask you this. Were they wrong? Was Red and Sonny wrong? Were they wrong? If they're wrong, then I guess Elvis is doing a concert this week in Hoboken. So, no, they weren't wrong. In August of 1977, when that book came out, right before that, when that book came out, they weren't wrong. They were trying desperately, a last-ditch effort to get it out there, to wake Elvis up, to get him to see something that would make him stop what he was doing. Now, was Elvis some bad guy? No. Did he think he was doing wrong? No, he didn't. Anybody around him loved the man. Okay? They didn't want nothing bad to happen to him. Okay? So, in no way, shape, or form did they think that they were doing something that they wanted to hurt Elvis. Okay, hold on a second. If I was famous, I wouldn't want a close friend to publish a book and tell the world my problems. But Red made money on the book. Okay, let me ask you a question. That's a good point. You wouldn't want them to tell you your problems. Would you rather die? Would you rather nobody come up to you? Your daughter, your son, your sister, your best friend, nobody in your life come up to you and they just let you die. Rather than write a book that upsets you. Turn the doctor in. Dr. Nick was doing what Elvis wanted him to do. Dr. Nick was basically owned by Elvis. I don't know if you realize that. Dr. Nick lost his license because of what he was doing. Not because he was doing it was so outlandish. Elvis was writing his own prescriptions. Do you realize that? He had his own prescription book. He had his own prescription book. Then you should know that Dr. Nick had no control over what Elvis was doing. Okay, Dr. Nick was doing what he damn well was told to do, or else he was going to be fired. And trust me, you didn't want to lose the best gig in the world. And nobody thought Elvis was going to die. Nobody. Okay, but you made another point. Red made money on the book. Okay, unfortunately, in this world, when you sell a book, it makes money or it don't make money. They put a price on it. You wrote the book, Nan. Say you wrote a book, Nan. You wrote a book about Marty. You wrote a book about Marty and how great a singer he is. and how great his music is, and he told you it's, whether he told you it's okay or he didn't tell you okay, it doesn't make any point in this. The point of the matter is, you write a book, you make money. They sell it for $10.95. They tell you they're going to give you $2 a book. You sell 1 million copies, you get $2 million. Now, you would probably tell me he should have donated that money to, some charity. But you got to understand, as soon as he wrote the book, Elvis fired him. So he kept the money because that was his livelihood at that point, because he lost the best gig he had. Because before he got fired before Elvis died. Elvis fired him. So he didn't know Elvis was going to die. So he thought, man, I just lost millions of dollars. So of course he kept the proceeds from the book because that was what he got he got fired for it. He tried to save his best friend's life and he got fired, so of course he kept the money. You would have kept the money too. I'm sorry, you would have. All right, hold on. Okay, well, Dr. Nick wasn't that honest. That's your point. Your point is made. You said if a doctor made... Good friends do that. I don't know where you don't get this, man. Good friends tell you to your face, if you're going to kill yourself, they do tell you to stop. Where do you get that? Okay, Dr. Nick, see, you're placing the blame on Dr. Nick. You got to place the blame on Elvis too. Okay? I love Elvis more than anybody you're going to ever meet in your life. Trust me. Okay, Elvis was his own person. He made his own decisions. Nobody told Elvis he had to do this. Okay? Okay, let's quit making excuses for him. Okay, they were giving him placebos too. Okay, there's a lot of people involved in this. All right, there's a lot of people involved in this problem. Okay, Elvis was addicted to prescription pills. The doctor knew he was, and he was giving him placebos. And believe me, I'm not a fan of Dr. Nick, so don't think for a second I'm defending him. But you also have the problem with Elvis's health. There's a lot of things wrong with his health that we know. Some that you don't, but most you know. And then he's taking the medication. He had a lifetime of working too hard, staying up too late, partying too hard. Now, I don't mean alcohol and stuff like that. I just mean partying too hard by, not sleeping well, staying up too late, doing too many shows. Parker was just as responsible as Dr. Nick or Elvis. But like I said, in this equation, we need to quit blaming only the people around Elvis. We need to also look at Elvis to his face, because if Elvis was here right now, trust me, he would tell you that he had a part in this. He had a part in this. Any true person who is addicted, which you just said, Elvis was addicted, that means he was an addict to prescription pills. And I don't mean a drug addict, I mean a prescription pill addict. Okay, which is a problem that they're now finding out is a big problem in society today. People are actually addicted to prescription painkillers and opiates and stuff like that. That's a problem today. Now, in 1977, Elvis was an example of that. Because most of the stuff he was taking was painkillers and stuff to sleep and stuff to wake up and stuff to be mellow, stuff like that. And that's the problem that they're finding out in society today, that people are addicted to prescription medication, and it's bigger and it's more of a problem than people addicted to heroin or cocaine and stuff like that. It's actually a bigger problem. But back in 1977, nobody knew what the hell that was. It was just a prescription medication. If a doctor prescribed it, it doesn't matter that Elvis told the doctor what to prescribe to him, and the doctor said, okay, Elvis, whatever you want. It didn't matter. It was still prescribed. It was still legal. It was still okay. Okay, so my point is, Elvis had a lot of yes men around him. Where do you get it? What do you mean? Okay. Elvis had a lot of yes men around him. Okay? And as I said to you, and I've asked you, Nan, because you brought it up, and like I said, everybody has a right to their opinion, and I don't disagree with your opinion to most extent. But the whole thing about Red West is, you just said, and I'm going to use your own words for you, that Elvis was addicted to prescription medication. You said Elvis was addicted. and that his doctor was out of control, and that his doctor was liable and responsible for Elvis's death, basically, is what you've told me since I've started talking. Am I right? Is that what you're saying? Okay, because if that is, which is what it says, Dr. Nick was a murderer, and Elvis was addicted, and Elvis died because of his doctor, which is your comments in the room, then if I take what you just said, if I am Sonny West and Red West, and I know this is going on, and I can't talk to Elvis because he's locked up in his room, with Ginger Alden, he's locked up in his room, and nobody's allowed to go to his door and get in his room and talk to him. Talk to him is through the media, which they did not do. They didn't go on any talk shows and talk bad about Elvis. They wrote a book. So you can't talk to the man. You already said that you're afraid that he's going to kill himself because he's addicted. And you already said that the doctor is responsible and he keeps feeding him this medication. So you got Sonny West and Red West who have been friends with him since high school. And the only way they can get through to him is through the media, either TV or books, because that was the media back then, TV or books. They didn't have YouTube, they didn't have Facebook, they didn't have Twitter, they didn't have, phones and texts. They wrote a book to try and wake Elvis up. That's why they wrote it. To tear Elvis down. Well, guess what? Elvis is dead. Elvis is dead. That's what happened. He died. Apparently they didn't get through to him quick enough. And let me ask you this final question, because apparently I'm not going to get through to you on this. You're going to have your opinion of it. Red West is this evil bastard, even though he's not. The man tried to save his life by trying to wake him up. I'm glad somebody around Elvis tried to actually talk to him and try and wake him up. It's good they did. He lost his job because he tried to wake his best friend up. He lost his job because he tried to wake his best friend up. At the time he was fired, Elvis was alive. So he lost his livelihood. He was never going to be able to work for Elvis. And if you got blackballed from Elvis, do you really think there was going to be other people handing you gigs to do work in the music industry? And he wrote this book trying to wake his friend up before his friend died, which ultimately his friend still died. Why? Whatever little money he got, I can assure you it wasn't all that much. But he had no job at that point. He had probably nobody that was going to hire him, because he did what I hope someone would do for me. If someone knew that I was killing myself, let's just say I was drinking myself to stupid, okay, and I was an alcoholic, which I'm not, but let's say I was. And let's say Little Bit of Angel in here, in the room, is my friend. I talk to her on a daily basis. Okay, and she knew I was drinking myself stupid. But yet she didn't say nothing to me. She didn't try to stop me. She didn't care what I had to say. I'm okay, I ain't got a problem. She just let me go out on the road and drive. Next thing you know, I hit a family of 6 with my car. I kill them all, including myself. And nobody around me, including my friend, my best friend, told me to stop or did anything to wake me up or put a freaking billboard on the goddamn road I drive on every day and said, "You stupid ass, quit drinking and driving, Rustywells." Maybe that would embarrass the shit out of me and I'd quit drinking and driving. Maybe, just maybe, I want to kill that family. And maybe, just maybe, I'd quit drinking and I would realize that I'm doing the right thing. It would destroy me. Well, that's a lot better than destroying a whole family. And it wouldn't destroy me because, you know what, I'd quit drinking. I would rather be destroyed, be sad, upset, and hurt that my best friend did that to me publicly than be dead. Thank God Red West had the nutsack to try and stop Elvis from killing himself and doing the things he did. Maybe if there were more Red West out there at the time, Elvis would be alive today. And I heard you in the room say, wouldn't it have been great if Elvis could have aged with us? Well, I can bet you it would have been awesome to have Elvis age with us. And maybe he would have if Joe Esposito, and some of the band members that have dissed on Red West, John Wilkerson, or J.D. Sumner, or the rest of the clan that was around him, if they would have stood up to Elvis and actually talked to him and not worried if they got fired over it, he could have aged with us. He could have. Just because you're an alcoholic don't mean you can't give it up. It's a lifetime problem, okay? But you can give it up. Okay, there are losers and there are winners. But to not try, that makes everybody a loser. Personally, I think Red West, and I'm going to go on the record, which I've already said before, so this ain't really going on the record, but I'm going to go on the record again. I look at Red West as a hero of Elvis's. And I bet you, if Elvis was in your room right now, Nan, of course, if Elvis was in your room, I'm sure you wouldn't be talking to him about this, but if he was, he would look at you and say, I don't like the way he did it. I don't like how he did it in the public. I don't like how he hurt me at the time, but at least he was trying to save my life. And I'll tell you this, too. In a private moment, Elvis told Ginger Alden himself that he was upset and he was hurt at what Red West and Sonny did in that book. But he told her that you have to forgive and forget and move on. And he told her, whatever you do, Ginger, don't let other people's actions ruin you. Let it go. Let it go. What are you talking about, man? You are contradicting. Honey, I have not contradicted myself, not once. If he was in the room, why wouldn't you do what Red did? Bring it out in the room and embarrass him. Honey, if Elvis was in the room right now, and I could go back to 1977, August 16th, I would shake the man, I would lock him in his room, I would tie him down, and I would not let him go until I got through to him that what he was doing was killing himself, because I love Elvis, and I would not let nothing happen to him. And yes, you can bet your damn last dollar I would do anything and everything I could to embarrass him or wake him up or say anything I could to make him stop. Because my only goal in it, I wouldn't care about myself. Do you think what I'm saying right now makes Rustywells look like the greatest guy in the world when I'm the biggest Elvis fan you'll ever talk to? That I'm sticking up for Red West, which half of you guys don't like? But I'm trying to explain to you that Red West isn't the bad guy here. He's actually the hero. Yes, if Elvis was here and it was August 15th, 1977, okay, you can bet your ass I wouldn't let Elvis leave this room until he knew exactly what was going on. And I would do everything and anything in my power to stop it. Okay, then let's ask you this last question. It's August 15th, 1977, man. You know August 16th, 1977, Elvis is going to die. What would you do? You can talk to him. He's at your house right now. You got 1 hour. What are you going to do? You going to tell him how great he is? You going to tell him what awesome music he's making? You tell him how you love him? What are you going to do? Okay, that's great, Nan. You would have talked to him long before. You can't. He's locked up in his room. How are you going to talk to him? You can't get around him. You have no way of getting around him. What are you going to do? You're at Graceland, Nan. Elvis is locked up in his room. I'm not talking about alcoholism. I'm talking about Elvis. I mentioned the alcoholism just to say that people addicted to stuff, you have to get in their face. You got to talk to them. You got to do whatever you can to stop them. And you can win sometimes and you lose sometimes. You damn well try. Hunt, I'm asking you a question. If Elvis was in your house right now, and it was August 15th, 1977, what would you tell Elvis? It's too late. It's never too late. You want to know why it's never too late? You're going to die tomorrow. He's like, no, I'm not. Okay, but when that book was wrote, man, and Red West wasn't, nobody had access to Elvis. Okay, guys, I know this is a rough subject for all of you. But this room, I've always been, one thing I've been honest about with you, is I will tell you the truth no matter what it is, and ultimately, it's all for the greater good of Elvis. I will never, ever diss on Elvis, but I will tell you the honest truth about Elvis. I won't sit here and sugarcoat shit, and I won't tell you lies. Okay? But when Red West and Sonny West wrote that book that you guys aren't real big fans of, okay, because they had no other way to get a hold of Elvis to wake him up. They didn't know Elvis was going to... Honey, Ginger Alden herself, the day before Elvis died, Ginger Alden herself was completely... had no idea Elvis was going to die. No idea at all. She was planning a life with him. She thought she was going to marry him on December 25th, 1977. She was engaged to Elvis. She thought she was going to marry Elvis Presley. She thought she was going to have kids with Elvis Presley. They were planning a life together. Okay? They had no clue. She had no clue Elvis was dying, and she was with him. She was in the room with him. She was sleeping in the bed next to him. They read books together. They read books to each other. She, the person who was closest to Elvis at that point, the day he died, had no clue Elvis was going to die. So why would Sonny and why would Red West, months and months and months and months and months, basically a year before when they started the book, why or how would they know Elvis was going to die? They didn't. Answer question. Why didn't you donate the book to charity? I told you, hon, he got fired. He lost his livelihood. He was going to be blackballed from music. He had already messed up and pissed off Elvis Presley. For God's sakes, how's the man going to make money? He wrote books. I mean, he wrote songs, and he was around Elvis from the time he was in high school, and the only job he really had outside of movies and writing songs was working for Elvis. Okay, you're Michael Jordan. You make more money than God, okay? You're a professional basketball player. You have endorsements by Nike. You make a comment about Nike. You say, Nike shoes suck. They're made by little Chinese kids who they pay nothing to in sweatshops. The next thing you know, Nike is firing you. You write this book. This book is a tell-all book about Nike. They fire you. You lose your $30 million a year gig from Nike. You lose all your endorsements from Hanes and everything else you got. You're Michael Jordan. You don't play basketball anymore. So now you go from making $70 million down to making nothing. Okay? And the next thing you know, they're telling you, well, this book just made $2 million. You think you're going to donate it at that point? You have a house, you have a car, you have a family. You're going to donate it? Okay, Dan, obviously we're not going to get through to you. I don't know if anybody in the room can understand what I'm trying to say about Red, but yeah, a good friend, and this isn't just Elvis, this isn't about just Red West, okay? What's the old saying? Okay, you guys mentioned the Bible. Let's mention the Bible. You got the mother in the Bible, and you got the other mother in the Bible. They both claim that this was their kid. Okay? It's a story in the Bible. They go up to the king. They go, nope, that's my kid. The other girl goes, nope, that's my kid. King says, well, I don't know which one of you is the mother, but I guess I'll just chop the kid in half. I'll give you each half of the kid. The real mom goes, whoa, 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 no, just give her to the other lady. At that moment, he knew that that was the mother because she was the only one that cared about the kid. So she knew that was the mother. All right? Your friend is making mistakes. He's going to die. You think he's going down a road to death. You've known the guy since you were 13, 14 years old, since you were in high school. You protected him in high school. You made movies with him. You spent the last 20-some years with him. You see his life going downhill. You think he's going to end up dead. You can't talk to him. He won't listen to you. He doesn't want nothing to do with anybody. He has no problems. He thinks he's okay. You know how addicts are. You said yourself, you're around alcoholism, you should know this. They don't have a problem, right? They think they have no problems. Well, they don't want to hear it from no one. No one or nobody. So if you can't talk to the man, and you can't see him, and you can't do anything to change him, and you don't want him to die, you write a book. And that's the only way they could do it back then. There was no Twitter. There was no Facebook. There was no, instant messages. There was no any of that. There was the media. They did not go on talk shows. They did not go on the Donahue show. They did not go on the other talk shows at the time. They didn't go on, and talk to everybody on the news. They wrote a book. Did Red West think Elvis would fire him? Hell yes, he thought he would fire him. I know he knew he would get fired. Red West knew he was going to get fired. You did not cross Elvis at that time. Okay, he knew he would get fired. He still did it. That's my point. See, Joe Esposito, God love him, he didn't do it. Charlie Hodge, great guy, awesome guy, loved Elvis. He didn't do it. George Klein knew Elvis since the 8th grade, was in music class with him together. He didn't do it. No, you want to know why? They weren't true friends. They were true friends, but they weren't as true friends as Red West. Because all three of those people should have been willing to get fired to save his life. That's my point. See, and to this day, Red West goes on talk shows. Red West will tell you stuff about Elvis. He never disses on him. I dare you to find me a talk show where Red West is interviewed nowadays by George Klein. He goes on the George Klein show all the time. George Klein talks to him all the time, Red West. He doesn't diss on Elvis. Do we know if they tried to talk to Elvis? I know they tried to talk to Elvis. I mean, Red tried to talk to Elvis. And did they try to talk to Elvis? Yeah. Yeah, they did. George, Joe, all of them that were true friends. The people I mentioned are his true friends. You're right. They did try to talk to Elvis. But see, once they got stopped by Elvis and they didn't get to talk to him, they quit. Okay, why would you quit? Because I go up to my friend and I go, I have a feeling you're going to die in about 6 months because you keep going down this road and you're not doing anything to change your ways. And you say, hey, Rusty, I'm fine and I ain't going to talk about it. And I stop. I'm not your friend. I'm a guy who cares about you a little bit. I don't want you to see you hurt yourself. But you told me everything's fine, so I move on. A true friend would be willing to piss me the hell off to the point where I don't want to even hear nothing from nobody. And you know what? It's better to be pissed off than to be dead. And I can guarantee you right now, I'll ask a little bit this question, because Little Bit Angel's been around me 3 years. She knows me well. She talks to me each and every day. We talk about this room mainly, but we talk each and every day, okay? If I had a problem that you thought was going to kill me, Lou, and you knew deep down that if you told me to stop or do what I had to do to stop, that I would never talk to you again for the rest of your life, and I would close up this room and you would never hear from me tomorrow or ever, would you try to stop me? Would you do anything possible to stop me if you thought I was going to kill myself? Yes or no? But I'm not going to talk to you. Matter of fact, you're done. It's over. We're never going to talk again. I'm never going to see you. Nothing. That's right. That's my point, guys. You know what? let's put it in this perspective. I have a son named Kyle, and I have a son named Jack. Let's just say my son named Kyle is 21 years old. Okay, well, I'm giving you another example, since you thought that one was so poor. Because let's put it in perspective. My son Kyle is 21. I'd do anything for him. I'd take a bullet for him. If someone walked up to my door right now and Kyle was standing next to me and they had a shotgun pointed at my face and said they were going to shoot me or they're going to shoot him, I'd say, blow my fucking head off. That's what I'd say. Okay? Blow it off. But my point is, I don't want you to. And you shouldn't. Because, see, you're not like Red West and Elvis. You know, you're a friend, you're an acquaintance on my room. I wouldn't expect you to. Okay, but my point is, my son Kyle, let's say he has an addiction to prescription medication. He's addicted to painkillers, opiates, barbiturates, anything, whatever it is. And I think he's killing himself. Honey, if I had to write a book, write an essay, go on Twitter, go on Facebook, go on the news, do whatever and anything I had to do to save his life, no matter how it would embarrass him, if I thought in the back of my mind it would save his life, I would do it. And if he hated me for the rest of his life and would not talk to me, I would still do it. Because I love him and there's nothing I wouldn't do for him. Okay, well, don't you realize that people around Elvis loved him? People around Elvis loved him. I mean, that's not a secret. People around Elvis loved him. Even people to this day that talk about Elvis love him. Hell, we are here 37 years later in an Elvis room, and you guys all love Elvis. So why do you think a man that was around Elvis from the time he was in high school, who protected him at times in high school, who worked for him for 20-some years, and to this day still talks about him fondly, would not have loved Elvis to the point he would have done each and anything he would have had to do to save his life? Greed. Do you honestly think he made that much money from that book? Greed. Yeah. Well, I got news for you. Charlie Hodge had a house bought for him. Okay? Cadillacs. 2 or 3. Okay, he doesn't make money from TV. He goes on the George Klein show for free. Okay? All right. Joe Esposito had things bought for him. Okay? When it came time that Elvis got married, Red wasn't even invited to the wedding. Okay, and he still stood by Elvis after that. He still stood by Elvis for years and years and years and years. And he did not do that book out of disrespect for Elvis. He did it to keep him alive. TV appearances in magazines. Do you think Red West is rich? I have a feeling you think he's rich. He's not. He made a few little movies. He's wrote some songs. He's got some residuals from those songs. He wrote Separate Ways. He wrote a few other songs. He's not rich. He's okay, but he's not rich. He's not like a big movie star making big money. Okay, if you think it's about greed, then what do you think about John Wilkerson, Ronnie Tutt, and all those guys that are on there, you know, on that tour, the Elvis tour? Don't you think they're riding his coattails? Making money? I mean, I don't look at it that way. I think they're just trying to keep his memory alive. And I respect it, and I love it. Okay? When he goes on a talk show or in a magazine, he talks about Elvis, you think it's about greed? Then I guess each and every one of the people that were around Elvis that are ever on a talk show or ever in a book, you keep saying that, we're entitled to our opinions. Well, opinions are like assholes, hon. Everybody's got one. Okay? But everybody that has a magazine or goes on a TV appearance or anything else, why am I right? Okay, that's fine. That's awesome. Well, I'm all right, because I know a hell of a lot more about Elvis than you do, that's why. Anyhow, because on this matter, you're wrong. It's your opinion. Honey, I prove it every night. It's not an opinion. All right? The fact of the matter is, you're wrong. Okay? Your hatred for Red West is based on what you hear in the media. It's based on what you read. It's based on all the urban legends that are bullshit. That's what it's based on. Your hatred of Red West and Sonny West is purely based on lies. You just said it. The media lies. It's based on hype. I'm glad you're putting it in there for me. It's what it's based on. So if the media is based on lies and hype, why would you take their opinion on Red West and run with it? That he's this evil guy who wrote this book about Elvis that killed Elvis. The book didn't kill Elvis. His lifestyle and what was going on around him and all that is what did it. And Red West was simply trying to save the man's life. That's all. Simple as that. Hello, Artie. How you doing? That's funny. So, like I said, obviously we're not going to get through to you on that. As far as the Red West and Sonny West and the book and they're evil and, you know, all this other hoopla, we're not going to get through to you. And I don't know why I don't understand the context of the idea that a true friend would tell you or do anything to you to help you, to stop you from doing something they thought was going to kill you. Thank you, Artie. Thank you. God bless you. You are 100% right. That's what I've been trying to say. They were trying to help Elvis. They were doing anything and anything. They were doing whatever they had to do to stop him from what they thought was going to kill their best friend, their friend, the guy they loved, the guy they would do anything for, the guy they would take a bullet for. They were trying to help him. He was locked in his room and they had no access to Elvis. That's Artie's opinion. You know what? I agree with Artie's opinion. That's fine. I agree with Artie's opinion because they were trying to help Elvis. You said yourself, man, you would do anything you could for your own kid. If he was going to kill himself or he was going to go down the lifestyle that was going to lead to death, you would stop him. You would do anything. You would embarrass him. You would, you know, whatever you had to do, you would do to save him. But why is it you don't understand that Red West and Sonny West felt the same way about Elvis, and they would do anything and everything they could to stop him, to save him? So they actually wrote a book because they couldn't talk to the man. He was locked up in his room. And so they did this book to try and wake him up. And the only thing you can spit out at me is they made money from it. And I've said over and over and over again, he got fired for writing this book. Tried to save his friend's life. His friend died. But before he died, he wrote this book to try and save his friend's life. He got fired for it. He lost his livelihood. He got blackballed from music and stuff like that because he just dissed the king of rock and roll. Ain't a whole lot of people lining up to take the chance to hire him because they don't want to piss off Elvis Presley. So he keeps what paltry money he made from this book. This book did not sell that well, man. Did not. So I'm going to stop right there because, like I said, I'm talking to the choir. I guess I'm talking. It's crazy. But let me just say this last thing for you. You said, you know, yeah, Mrs. B is next. She's going to get up on the mic because she was kind enough to put the mic down too soon. So, Miss B, you're next. I appreciate you for sticking around. You said that why am I an authority on it, or why do I think I should talk, why should I know about this, or I don't know any more than this, that, and the other, okay? When it comes to Elvis Presley, hon, I know more than anybody you will ever talk to, okay? Let's make that quite clear, okay? Let's make that quite clear. Except Elvis. Except Priscilla, and except Lisa. Outside of those people, let me make that clear. You will not hear or talk to anybody that knows more about Elvis than me. Period. And as the Fonz would say, a mundo.